So I want to talk to you about some stuff that I've been developing at RavenPack over the last few months, and I kind of gave some hints about it before. So some of you might know Peter really introduced the RavenPack offering this morning very well, talked about what it does. This spring, we introduced a new version of the product that has all of the following enhancements: full document event detection, not just headlines, the relevant scoring, temporal analytics. That means like which earnings period are we talking about, things like that. And there's lots of new entities, events, and lots of new sources of news that go into this. So this is great. And this means that we have this really big data set. There's 2.3 billion records. I think this is 3 to 4 times more records than the previous version of the RavenPack product. Thousands of sources. It is hosted in the cloud, and it's updated all the time in real time. So we have some of our clients that are really the heavy hitters of the data science world, the quants, and they probably are in the space of, I want it all. Just give me everything, and I'll deal with it. Great. We're happy to help you. And then there's probably a much bigger universe of people that are like, could you give me just what I want of the data? And that's really good, and we can do that now with our offering from this spring. Okay? There's probably an even bigger universe, though, that doesn't actually want any of this raw data at all, per se, but they want something that's a signal or an indicator, right? Some of our speakers this morning talked about indicators as well. These are great for discovering trends and for unlocking value in data, okay? So I want to talk about an indicator. Peter kind of mentioned this morning, buzz. So if you talk about an entity, that being a company like Apple, IBM, or it could be a commodity, whatever, you would like to know, how does the volume, in other words, how many mentions do we detect today compared to the volume over time, right? So this is important because it's not just like Apple, which is probably in the news all the time, right? But is Apple in the news abnormally high amount today or low, right? And so we want a formula for this. And one way to do it is get all the data and you build this yourself, because we all know SQL. Who does know SQL here? Are there any people? Yeah, okay, quite a lot of us. We're all familiar with it. Great. So it's simple, right? It's right here, okay? So we have some parameters, then we get our filtered data. There's some arbitrary set of entities there. But now we have to figure out which entities we want. Then, oh, there might be a day where there's no data, so we have to build a calendar query, obviously. Now we also want to roll up, so we're going to join that with an arbitrary entity, which when we group by, we don't group by the entities. No problem. We join this with our calendar. We filter everything. Now we have to do windowed analytics. For, in this case, it's 365 days. Finally, you want to format things, so you get this nice case statement at the end. This is the RavenPack offering. No, thank goodness, right? This is what you guys have to do right now, probably. And this is perhaps even a simple one, and you probably want to get away with that, away from it. RavenPack thought you do want to get away from it. I thought you want to get away from it, so I helped RavenPack invent a language where you can do this. This is exactly count me per entity, what is the volume on a day. Take that count over a year and average it. Take that count over the year and give me a standard deviation. Take the difference today versus the year divided by standard deviation. How many standard deviations away are you? And that's buzz. And now you can ask for an indicator like buzz by writing this. We like buzz so much, though, that you could do that. If you don't like writing things in SQL at all and you're more of a computer programmer and you're building a tool you might like to construct these with a JSON format, and so that's allowed as well. All right? So it's pretty simple. And you can do more interesting things as well, like decay functions. This has two decays. You have this special lookback variable. It's not so important. We document how to do all of this. But here, you're getting something like strength, which we also liked, so we invented a function for it. But the definition of strength is above there, and that's it. You could try to imagine that in SQL if you want to, but I won't go through that. All right? So I think this is really neat. And it's available as a service. Right? You can get, with this language, you can ask for daily aggregations, sums, average, count, standard deviation, cardinality. There's look-back windows up to a year of daily values where, again, you average, count, sum, standard deviation of that information. You can also combine these with math expressions like you saw in the strength there, where you add, subtract, multiply, divide, do powers, and have access to which day of the look-back you're at. So you can do look-back functions with decays. And custom functions. I showed you buzz and strength, and RavenPack can build more and probably eventually allow you to build your own. Right? It's on our self-service platform. The self-service platform was launched this spring. It's enhanced as of today so that you can get these types of indicators as a service. You write a query with the API. You get back data, just what you want, just your indicators. You don't need to set up a database or anything like that. In fact, with our REST API, our good friends at MathWorks have integrated this into MATLAB. Internally, we've integrated the REST API with R, which is a package I'm sure a lot of you are using. We also have a little Python wrapper. But as a REST API, if you don't know what that is, it's technology that just lets you from effectively the technology that's in a web browser. You make a request. It has parameters. You get back data. There's no software to install, anything like that. It lets you work with things. As well, the visual data platform is greatly enhanced so that it can chart and graph indicator data, including line charts, which was a widget that's been highly requested. Those are launched as well now. So we're continuing to do all of this. It's all based on the data set that we launched this past spring. And I'm super excited about it. So it's our signals language. It's available today, and I do have time for questions. Thank you.
You have one in the back.
Thank you. Here,
Hi.
a couple questions. First, 3 questions. I'll start with the easy ones. What's wrong with the equal sign instead of something as something? How about this equals that? I mean, equals is pretty popular. That's one.
OK.
I'll do them in order. Why a new language? Things like Julia or R can do this already. And the third one is, have you thought of adding filters, like some of the returns where returns are positive?
Sure. Great. So first, why the as instead of equals? Because it's the way the SQL does things. We wanted to make the language look a lot like SQL so it's comfortable and familiar to people that write in SQL. Why a new language? Why not something like Julia or something? So this is meant to look a lot like SQL. And if you've used databases like Elasticsearch or MongoDB, the JSON looks a lot like that. So again, it's meant to be familiar to data scientists. It's a declarative language. You state what you want. There's sort of a recipe. You have to say, I want a count daily, and then I want the average over a year of those counts. But otherwise, you don't have to write a procedure. You don't have to write for loops or anything like this. So languages like Julia or Python, which are really popular, they're a lot more work to ask for data like this. So we like this approach. And sorry, the third one was? Filtering, yes. So filtering is available. This was just kind of a description of the fields, but the data that you ask for, which data is it? Is it just companies? Is it just US companies? Is it the US 500, Dow 30, FTSE, whatever? I want those companies, only those with relevance greater than 70. All the types of things that you can ask for about the RavenPack data now are included as well. Thanks. Anything else? Some up front here.
So with data science as a service emerging, do you see the market value and alpha of this diminishing over time as it's more widespread use, and how do you deal with that?
Do I think this service will decline in value?
No, just the use of data science as it's starting to, you were saying and other speakers were saying, as it's becoming more data science as a service, which will bring it into more widespread use. Do you
Yes.
see the value of it sort of diminishing as more market participants start to use this?
No, I don't. Okay, I think I understand what you're getting at. So we're talking a lot this morning about lots more alternative data. And I think the creativity of the PMs and the people that want to use this is going to start, I think there's going to be an explosion there. Everyone's been dealing with depth of market and things like this for decades, right? And now there's all this new data available. And I think there's going to be, I hope, there's going to be an explosion in creativity that's going to actually drive demand for more and more of this. So I don't think that the data providers are going to outpace the creativity of the finance industry in how to use this data and do well with it. That's how I see it.
Thanks.
There was one here.
Actually, I think this make it easier to use. I was thinking about give me everything, but then now that you have this, I think that lower the barrier of entry, at least for my firm. So my question is, how come only just 1 year? Can you eventually, maybe in 2 years' time, 6 months' time, make it all available to this language?
All right. First, thank you very much. That's really gratifying to hear that you think that this might make you not want to be a quant and deal with all of the data. I like that as an engineer. The limitation on the year right now is with the look-back window. Okay, you can query data from all time for the whole thing. It's just the look-back is limited. Part of that is just implementation realities right now. But I do hope that we can relax that and that we can give you larger look-back windows as well.
Great. Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
This is RavenPack.